Have you ever felt that moment of panic in a Spanish conversation? You know all the words, but when you try to ask a simple question, it just comes out clunky like a robot. Well, today, we're going to fix that for good. I'm going to show you how to ask questions so naturally you'll forget you ever struggled in the first place. So let's just dive right into the big one, the question that trips up pretty much every single Spanish learner out there. You get comfortable making statements, but the second you need to ask something, it feels like everything gets thrown into a blender. So is the word order really that different? The short answer, yes, it's often different. But, and this is the part nobody tells you, that difference is actually your friend. Seriously, it makes Spanish questions way more flexible and, believe it or not, sometimes even easier than English, I promise. And to prove it, here's our game plan. First, we'll unlock the 4 main ways you can form a question. Then, we're going to tackle the most important things you need to unlearn from English. And finally, I'll give you a super simple formula you can literally start using today. Okay, first things first, let's build up your toolkit. There are really just 4 fundamental methods for asking questions in Spanish. Once you get these down, you'll be set for pretty much any conversation that comes your way. So here they are, the big 4. Intonation, inversion, question words, and tags. We're going to walk through each one, and let's kick things off with the absolute easiest one first. First up is a method so simple it almost feels like cheating. It's your secret weapon for jumping into conversations right away. It's called intonation. All you do is take a statement you already know how to say, and you just let your voice rise at the end. That's it. No word shuffling required. Check this out. The words are identical. The only difference is the sound. So here's the statement. Nice and flat. Tú hablas español. Now, the question. ¿Tú hablas español? See that? That simple little lift at the end does all the work. It's perfect for everyday casual chats. All right, let's grab our second tool. Inversion. Now, this is where we actually see that word order shift that people talk about. You just take the subject and the verb, and you swap them. This method sounds a little more structured, and you'll see it a lot, especially in writing. So look at how this flips. A simple statement is, La casa es grande. Subject, then verb. To turn it into a question, we just invert it. Es grande la casa? Verb, then subject. It's that straightforward. And hey, here's a little pro tip. Native speakers often drop the pronoun, so do you want coffee becomes a quick and supernatural ¿Quieres café? Okay, but what if you need more than just a yes or a no answer? Well, that's where our third method comes in, using question words. You know, your classics like what, where, and when, or in Spanish, qué, dónde, and cuándo. And the formula here is incredibly reliable, which is great news. You start with the question word, you follow it with a verb, and the subject just kind of hangs out at the end. Let's see what that looks like in action. Take a look at these. ¿Qué quieres tú? Question word, verb, subject. ¿Dónde vive María? It's the exact same pattern. ¿Cuándo empieza la clase? Once you see this simple structure, you can basically build thousands of different questions. It's a real game changer. And our final tool is the tag question. This is such a cool and easy way to confirm something you already think is true. You just make a normal statement and then tack on a little tag at the end, just like we do in English when we say things like right or isn't it? For example, you could say, Tú estudias español, ¿verdad? You're not really asking for new info, you're just looking for that little nod of agreement. Using tags like verdad or no is a fantastic shortcut to making your Spanish sound way more conversational. Okay, you've got the 4 methods. Now for what I think is the most important part of this whole explainer, the key differences between asking questions in Spanish versus English. This is where we stop those common mistakes right in their tracks. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. So much of getting good at Spanish questions isn't about learning some brand new complex rule. It's about dropping an old habit, a habit from English that you use all the time, specifically one little word. And here it is, the auxiliary verb do. In English, we need it constantly. Do you work? Does she like it? In Spanish, you get to just throw it out completely. The main verb already has all the information you need, so you just say trabajas or trabajas tú. Using the verb hacer here is a dead giveaway of an English speaker. So the rule is simple. No do, no does. Ever. Okay, a few other quick-fire differences to remember. First, when you're writing, you've got to use both the upside down and the regular question marks. Non-negotiable. Second, like we mentioned, feel free to drop the subject if everyone knows who you're talking about. And third, unlike in casual English, it's totally normal and correct to start a question with a preposition, like ¿con quién vas? With whom are you going? Now, this table is a perfect example of just how flexible Spanish can be. If you want to ask, is the restaurant open? You've got two great options. You can use the more formal inversion, ¿Está abierto el restaurante? Or, if you're just chatting, you can use simple intonation. ¿El restaurante está abierto? Both are 100% correct. It just depends on your style. All right, let's put all this together into a practical take-home guide. Think of this next part as your personal cheat sheet for building perfect Spanish questions every single time. So let's boil it down. For a simple yes or no question, you can either keep the statement word order and just use a rising tone, or you can invert it by putting the verb first, like you see here. To ask, are you hungry? The most direct way is simply ¿Tienes hambre? Verb first, no subject needed. Easy. And for those information questions, the formula is just as consistent. You always lead with your question word, like ¿por qué or dónde?, and you follow it with the verb. Why are you crying becomes a simple ¿por qué lloras? The structure is going to be your best friend. It will almost never let you down. But look, if there's only one thing you take away from all this today, let it be this. Don't get paralyzed by the options. When you're in doubt, just use intonation. Just say the sentence and raise your voice at the end. It's the most common way in casual speech, and it turns any statement you already know how to make into a question. It's your bridge to having real conversations, starting right now. So there you have it. You've got the 4 methods, you know the key rules to watch out for, and you have a simple formula guide. The only thing left to do is to go out there and start asking. So think about it. You've got the tools. What's the very first question you're going to ask in Spanish?